Metal Minded Podcast. We are live. It's the only time, first time we do it in English, so I can actually do it UFC style. Motherfuckers. Fucking awesome. Yeah. Tonight is a very special night because we are having our first English podcast with our guest, Sadistic Embodiment. Very happy to have you guys. How are you guys doing?
Thanks for having us.
Excellent.
We're doing really well.
Pretty fucking good, thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Oh, and their fucking blue screen. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. There we go. We're back.
It is. Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, let's start with the real fucking questions. Yalain, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm going to start it off with a local brewery here because I always support the local stuff. So the new one from Gallicus Brewing. It's a seasoned hibiscus beer. So it's very floral with some citra hops in it. So we're going to try that today. What about you guys? Let's start with Curtis.
Yeah. I'm currently in Prince George, and I'm drinking their local brew out of I think it's called Pacific Western Brewing, and this is their brand called Canterbury, and I think this is their style of an English pale, but it's made for the working man, so it's not particularly robust in any manner, but it is kind of a medium-bodied beer, of course, in that ESB / brown ale style. So it's not too bad.
Cool. And you, Jason, what are you drinking?
Well, I'm drinking this special beer that I found in the store. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's Kokananini. I believe.
That's some high class shit, man. Where'd you get that?
It was very expensive. I believe $16 for an 8-pack. I like to splurge. What can I say? So it's crisp. It's got a blue can. And
is crisp a flavor?
Yeah, it is. It is. So it's nice and cold. That's all that matters. So yes, that's what I'm drinking currently right now.
Perfect.
Whatever gets you drunk, man.
Exactly. And you, Wally, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking just some whiskey. I don't have the bottle here to show off, but just drink it just on the rocks. I'm drinking actually Alberta Premium. Well, I'm usually a bit of a whiskey snob, but when you drink a lot of expensive whiskey, you don't want to drink it too fast. So I usually get like a 60 of Alberta Premium because it's not like super like low bottom shelf. It's not like that crappy like well whiskey that you'll get at the bars and stuff. But I actually like it. I like both Alberta Premium and I think Alberta Springs is made by the same distillery.
Okay.
Pretty sure that's right. And,
but I think they also make Dark Horse.
Yeah, they're both they're actually really good as far as like affordable whiskeys go. So I like to have that on hand to drink when I'm not drinking more expensive stuff.
Cool. And you, Simon, what are you drinking?
Thanks for finishing with me. God, is this? I drank way too much last night, so I'm on just water today, but I put it into a 50 glass just to pretend, I had like literally 2 liters of red wine yesterday. It's just dumb. It was just
those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up, my friend. It's pretty low. What can I say? 2 liters? Come on now.
I'm a government worker. Give me a break. I guess we should go to the sponsors. How's that?
Go for it.
Guys, I'll just do the sponsors in French because our sponsors are French and, they're not paying, but we like them. So I'll just do what they say. Basically. I'm just going to switch that here. Here we go. And go here. And obviously I kept the one that I did in English, so I don't have them with me, but that's okay. I'll do it in French. I'm a big boy. I can do that. Okay. Notre premier sponsor, Noisy Kitchen Hot Sauce. Sauce démoniaquement forte faite en petite batch à Gatineau, ici même. Un goût toujours unique à chaque fois parce que Mike il aime ça changer les ingrédients un peu. Fait que faut toujours l'acheter parce que c'est la meilleure sauce sur la planète. Le Brouhaha, la meilleure sélection de microbrasserie québécoise en Outaouais. Oubliez pas de mentionner oubliez pas de mentionner Metal Minded quand vous allez acheter vos consommations parce qu'éventuellement il va y avoir des rabats. Le YouTube channel Horreur FM, Dan, malheureusement sans moustache, toujours vous présente les meilleures reviews d'horreur sur les YouTubes. N'oubliez pas d'aller liker puis subscriber à son channel pour avoir toutes ses infos et toutes ses reviews. Puis le dernier et non le moindre, PRC Music, label québécois qui fait la promotion de groupes underground metal. Checkez son Bandcamp, il y a toujours les meilleurs bands metal sur la planète. Et en plus, là, c'est vrai, son rabais est fini pour le mois de septembre, mais il devrait en avoir éventuellement pour le temps des fêtes qui s'en vient. Puis, naturellement, likez, subscribez à notre chaîne, à nous autres, pour pas manquer rien, pantoute, de notre contenu, toujours live. So that's it. That was the only French part for a little bit. So
Sounds really good. I don't know what it was, but it sounds really good.
It's sexy, right? It's sexy.
Yeah, I'd buy it. I'd buy it.
there you go. We're just gonna go through next segment. Usually we do a little roundtable and see what we listen for music this week or lately, and if there's bands or music you want to talk about. I think I'll go first. How's that?
Yeah,
Huh?
please.
That works.
I'll just fucking do it. How's that? I didn't listen to a lot of metal this week, but I have listened to the King of Worms, and it's I can't remember the name. I only wrote the last the last word of the of the album.
Oops.
Anyways, you'll probably find it for me because I like him. So anyways, good black metal. I like it pretty much. And I also listen again to the new Fuck the Facts, Pleine Noirceur. A very good album. I've been listening to it.
Because obviously we have a premiere. We have it before everyone else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm using all that,
The
I'm
special
using
privilege.
all of it to listen to the albums before they come out. One band that actually someone was it Julien Kidd actually sent me a link on Friday to listen to it. Band's called Skeleton Pit. The album is Lust to Lynch, and it's a crossover trash band. Very good.
Yeah.
I like trash metal and
What's
crossover trash a lot.
What does crossover thrash do?
Like
Well,
municipal waste.
Municipal Waste, DRI.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Right.
So it's it's trash metal, but like a little bit of punk / hardcore oriented. Put it this way. Simpler riffs. Less solos, simpler riffs. Kind of like trash metal, but a little bit more punk attitude. Basically,
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. And that band is basically like that. So if you like Municipal Waste or Iron Regan or DRI or stuff like that, you'll definitely like that band. They're a bit more trash than punk. I'd put it this way. So if you're a big trash metal guy, you'll like him.
I think
And
if I was a
obviously,
big thrash metal guy, I would have understood the reference to the cross thrash.
Yeah, that's fine. That's I'm big into trash. I like trash a lot. So yeah, especially the old school stuff from the 80s and stuff. From 90s and stuff. And obviously I listen to you guys a little bit, to get in the mood.
Don't waste your time on that one. It's not that good.
just so you know, I was naked the entire time.
That's the mood you're talking about, huh?
Yeah, that's what we have to be. That's what we expect when people listen to the new album. Actually, is be like completely butt-ass naked.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It's just weird when I start listening to it. My kids are around. Feels weird.
Yeah, we don't appreciate that sometimes, but hey.
My God. Okay, and who wants to go next? Who's
I'll go.
Go for it, Curtis.
Go ahead.
So every time I come out and I do a shift, I work in the field a lot, and I usually have one person I'm working with for 2 weeks, and maybe they're interested in metal or have like hard rock or something, and they're open to do music. So then I get to share with them all kinds of genres and teach them the taxonomy of metal genres and the subgenres and all that. And then if they ask me, then I'll show them Sadistic Embodiment. If they ask, but I don't ever say, hey, I have a band. Yeah, let me tell you. But I could tell you, I've been going through the old school stuff, from the late. I showed them Rainbow from the old Dio. Right?
Wow.
I showed him the old Metallica. He knows Metallica, but not like 1984 Metallica. And Judas Priest, and then I went up to more modern stuff. And for today, I said, there's also women in extreme metal. And I showed them this band that I just kind of learned is a huge band right now. They're blowing up the last few years. and I just kind of got into them. I think as of last night. That's Ginger.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, I love Ginger.
Ukrainian gent crossover genre defying band.
That's actually the last show I went to see before this whole pandemic. It was a Ginger show.
Yeah, exactly.
It really sucked though, because when I went to see them, I don't think she was in the mood that night to do a show. She looked like out of it completely. So it wasn't very enjoyable.
So she had COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Probably.
She's patient zero right there.
Yeah, so I showed my field partner, hey, check this out. It's kind of groovy, kind of genty, whatever style you want to call that band, and then nice, clean, like melodic singing vocals, kind of, and then there was like a deep, powerful, like growl, not like a death metal vocal, not like screamo, but like a death metal female vocalist, which is very rare. And like, that's a chick, and she's also very good looking. And then yeah, that was that today. So I'm
I think
right now.
Yeah, I think your buddy that you're talking about is on the YouTube chat. He's saying, haha, he's talking about me. His name is Tristan. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's tuned in. He was supposed to be outside hunting some deer in the backyard, but I guess he came inside. It was too cold. Or he's got Wi-Fi right now in the tree stand.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you, Curtis. So next, we're going to go with Wally. What have you been listening to lately?
Oh, sure. The stuff I listen to is kind of all over the place. I work at desk jobs, so I do a lot of programming, and I spend a lot of time listening to some like EDM type stuff, but some darker stuff. So like Master Boot Record, it's very like metal, like for electronic music, and then like Perturbator. But recently was looking through some of my old metal playlists and stuff, and I've been listening to a band called Lost Soul. They're like a tech death band from Poland.
Okay.
They're pretty cool. Actually, Jason, you should check them out. Their vocals kind of remind me of your style of vocals. It's pretty good stuff. So that, and then some other like instrumental tech death bands like Alluvial, which is Wes Hodge and Keith Merrow, who does work with like Jeff Loomis on Conquering Dystopia. So I listen to some stuff like that, and then just some other black metal. I bounce back and forth between like tech death, black metal, and some dark electronica like synthwave. So the black metal I've been listening to lately is Dark and Nocturne Slaughter Cult from Germany. So yeah,
cool.
That's also a female fronted band.
Yes, it is. Yeah, she's pretty amazing actually. Yeah,
big Viking chick.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So, Jason, what have you been listening to lately?
Okay, so I've got two bands that's kind of on my regular daily rotation, it seems. First one is a band called Ages. They're from Sweden. They released a new album called On Crown back in August. Swedish black metal. You can't go wrong with it. It's just across the board from start to finish, a really good album.
Okay.
As Curtis knows, like I wasn't huge into black metal, so he kind of introduced me to like this new genre, and it was definitely one of those things I just kind of found on Apple Music, like a new release. I was like, yeah, I'll try it out. And
you should show me. Did you show me that band? I don't remember.
I don't know if I did or not. I think I talked about it, and that was about it. So
I'd like to hug you right now because you're finally on the black metal train.
I know, right? Ooh, ooh. And then the other band, which is literally I listen to it daily, Orbit Culture.
Yeah.
The new album they came out
Swedish
with.
band.
Yeah, another Swedish band. They came out with a new album, Nija, I believe it's called, Nija. Honestly, for me, it's like I'm thinking it's the album of the year for me.
We actually reviewed that album last week.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. That you were talking about. Me and you were talking about it. It's just hands down, just a phenomenal album.
It's a great album, but if I can be like honest, I find that their older stuff is better than that album.
See, I haven't went back and listened to the older stuff yet. It's on my to-do list, but I just can't get away from this new album.
So listening to the older stuff and then listening to that album, to me, it was a bit of a letdown.
Really? Okay.
Interesting.
Well, I'll have to give the older stuff a try.
Yeah, you should.
And it's funny too, because the more I listen to it, like I'm a huge Metallica fan, unfortunately, but I can tell like this singer is huge influence of James Hetfield. Just some of the lyrics how he sings them and stuff. It's very Hetfield-ish, as best way to describe it, I guess, right? So, But those two albums are my daily rotation. I kind of really like them. So
Cool. So for me, but obviously every time I have a guest, I listen to their stuff. So I went back and revisited you guys' album, which is fucking amazing. After that, obviously, I always listen to the bands I'm going to review this week. And this week, it's funny because it's like an old love of mine. Like Static X released an album in 2020.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to some Static X because we're reviewing them this week. And then we're reviewing them with a band called Morse Cordis. I don't know if you guys heard of them. Really cool stuff, off the map, like completely different, like new metal, some industrial, some all sorts of stuff in there. It's really fun. And then we're also doing a band called Splitmouth, and these guys are huge Slipknot fans. It's crazy. You listen to the album, it sounds like the first Slipknot album. So it's pretty fun to listen to. Anyways, so we're like in a new metal week, and it's really fun. I'm enjoying myself. Also been listening to Fuck the Facts' newest album because we have it in advance, so I'm enjoying that. Napalm Death's latest album is pretty fun too. Benediction, their new album is really fun. Listening to it this week. And Soil of Ignorance. If you guys are into grind, Soil of Ignorance is a grind band from here in Quebec, and they're pretty fucking awesome. Like really good stuff. You guys should check it out.
Okay.
And this one death trash band that one of the metal minded guys sent this week called Merciless, really, really good too. Really good 2020 album. So that's what I've been listening to this week because I listen to shit all the fucking time. I could honestly say that all that has been like in the past 3 days.
Nice. Nice.
So anyways, after that segment, we usually always go to you guys. So my first question is always, how did Sadistic Embodiment come to be? Who are you guys? When did you start? Where are you situated? Just talk about you guys, your past, and when you started.
Go for it, Curtis.
Since I'm the most senior of the band members currently, myself, Brian Newberry, and Helgi Lippart started the band when Brian initiated the conversation and brought me in. We've known each other for several years in the Edmonton metal scene.
Okay.
And it was 4 years ago, right, boys?
I think 4 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're a pretty new band. But a very busy band, except for the last couple months, of course. So it was a 3-piece to begin, and I was like, yes, the most famous, most popular bands are 3 pieces, and this is what I wanted. And I was gonna, write music, and then Brian just kept on bringing in guitarists like this guy Jason, and eventually Wally came, and he brought in another vocalist, and it all went to shit.
Yeah, we ruined Curtis's dreams right there. So
I just wanted a 3-piece, and now I had 5 guys at one point.
that sounds pretty gay, but okay.
It's okay, Curtis. We'll do that 3-piece black metal project eventually. We'll get that off the ground.
Okay, thanks.
Just be like some Inquisition worship.
That's a 2-piece though.
That's true. That's true. Good point.
So you guys started in 2016, and then you just started adding more members to the band, and then it ended up just being a passion project, or is it like a full-time band, or is it a side band for some of you? Where's it at?
I think it's a full-time band for most of us, except for maybe Brian.
Yeah, Brian's got like 5,000 bands. Right?
No, this has actually always been a full-time band for Brian. And he's in many other bands, and those are mostly part-time bands, but although they are professional bands, so part-time professional bands, right? And this band certainly has been full-time for the 3 of us here, because this is our only band at the time, right? And yeah, that's it.
So just to follow up with the members, since we're talking about that, what led to the departure of your like main vocalist, and how did you decide to all just keep it a 4-piece and just sing all your parts?
Yeah, I can answer that if you guys like.
Yeah, you're the most senior member. You can take charge on that one.
Yeah, we parted ways with Nate. He was a very talented vocalist. It's just sometimes life gets complicated in our lives, and it's very difficult to commit to things. So there were some issues just with focusing on some personal issues and focusing on professional issues with the band. And we were really, it was really hard decision to move on. And but I also really encourage looking at him as a potential vocalist again for another project, because he is very talented and he's a very good lyricist. And he really understood like what the band like Sadistic Embodiment was about, and he was an excellent member in the beginning. So every album up until Bloodspell had Nate as lead vocals, and then myself and Wally were like secondary vocals, and Jason. And Bloodspell was like the new beginning. It's like, okay, this is going to be this is going to be like the debut. Let's make sure everyone together, we want it tighter and more professional, and just we wanted a solid functioning unit. And I guess we decided to move on from our lead vocalist during the beginning of the production and the recording and writing process of Bloodspell. And then our sound changed, at least lyrically and vocally, of course, because when the lead vocalist leaves, I don't want to do all the vocals because it's very hard to play bass guitar and sing and write all the lyrics. So I'm very thankful that Wally and Jason they also have the chops, and they were able to contribute a large portion of the vocal support and lead vocals on Bloodspell. So I have 4 songs that I lead with their help. And Jason has 2 songs that he leads, and then Wally has 2 songs that he leads as well on the album. So when you listen through, there's all kinds of different vocal work going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
It was really fun because obviously I reviewed your album a while back, and at that point we didn't know, like, I don't have the physical album, so I didn't have all those informations, right?
No.
And it's funny because I was listening to the album and I'm like, holy shit, this vocalist is all over the place. It's fucking amazing. I was like, man, his voice is fucking crazy. He's going everywhere. And then you guys had told me directly on YouTube that you guys had all sang parts. And then I was like, makes a whole lot of sense now, you know?
Yeah.
And no, it's really fun to listen to because it's really refreshing to have all those types of vocals during the entire album. And you never get stuck in one style, because every time one of you sings, it changes that song.
Yeah. Well, it was actually a conscious decision that I made when we were listening to all the tracks, and we were kind of playing around with the track orders and stuff. And I was listening to it, and being that we had already released 3 albums with Nate fronting it, I didn't want this. And Curtis does a lot of the fronting in the first 2 EPs. The first EP,
I did a lot of vocals.
So being that we were changing from this single front man to multiple people, I didn't want the album to start out with a bunch of songs of Curtis and then suddenly change partway through. So when we were constructing the track list, I wanted to make sure that right off the beginning, it was very obvious. Okay, we have 3 distinct things. That's why the album starts off with Stranger, which is Curtis. And then I think, is Gallows next?
Gallows,
right? So then it's Jason, and then I think it goes back to a Curtis song with Catherine's Braid, and then from there I think it goes
into a Wally song,
into a song by me, into Phantom Tormentor. So I wanted to right from there, I wanted to say, okay, here Curtis is here. We got this new vocals from Jason, but don't worry, we still got Curtis, and then it's me, and then from there it kind of goes. Alternates from there, so you're not getting this expectation that it's the same vocalist throughout and then suddenly being thrown off right from the beginning. You're just like, oh, there's all these vocalists happening, what's the rest of the album going to be like?
It was really fun because it captivated me right off the bat. You did a great job at transitioning the songs too, because what was fun is exactly at one point I was like, okay, there has to be more than one vocalist, but I had no clue that the entire album was 3 vocalists just sharing duties, you know? So it was very, very flawlessly done.
Thanks. We take pride in arrangements. Brian does a great deal of arranging in the actual songs, and then as a group we work on the adequate arrangement on the album of the tracks.
I think that's one thing that we definitely brought from our old band, me and Curtis in Sonor Sodium, was like that was like the key of everything, was arranging those things and like making the songs more than just the music they are. And like it also goes back to like just the metal attitude of having an album. It's not just a song on a playlist somewhere that somebody listens to. You write these songs, but you construct them as a cohesive experience, right? And I think that's something that's lost in a lot of modern music, is that like
put in a disc,
album attitude.
put in a vinyl and listen to the whole thing.
Exactly.
Focus on the whole presentation and have an attention span more than 3 minutes.
You have exactly said something that I repeat on pretty much every single episode that I've done. When I listen to an album, it's from start to finish. It's one artwork. It's not 1/3 of an artwork or 1/8 of an artwork. It's an entire artwork. Me and my buddy Ty, the guy that reviewed the album with me, every time we hang out, when we put albums in, even if it's shit, I will listen to the entire album.
That's dedication.
Even if it's something I don't like, I'll listen to the entire thing before making a full-on opinion about it, because it's meant to be listened to from start to finish.
That's respectful too.
Yeah, and you see, same thing with us with Cruel Fate. Actually, we have a bunch of interludes between songs, just because so it blends together and stuff like that. And to put them on Spotify, I actually had, because it didn't make sense for just someone to get a random song from us and have like a 2-minute intro, so I actually had to chop the intros down to like 10 seconds. So if someone just comes on with a random songs out of our album, like song number 5, he's not going to be stuck listening to like 2-3 minutes of noise and be like, what the fuck is this?
We have one of those songs as well with like a huge intro, but it's like really good song, but you have to listen through the whole intro, so you have to kind of fast forward it like a minute and a half.
Isn't it Catherine's Braid?
That's actually a pretty long one too, but I think I'm talking about Malevolent Plea of Insanity, Jason.
It's off the third EP we have, where it's like a sampled intro.
It's the first song from Beloved Imprisonment EP.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a really long intro with a bear.
Actually, you were talking about you guys having 3 singers and stuff like that, and I was just wondering when it comes to like the recording process and stuff like that, when it comes to recording vocals, I was just wanted to see how you guys were working. Is there one guy that's kind of like the perfectionist in the band there, and that's kind of like leading the thing, or it's like, okay, it's your song, you decide, you do what you want and stuff like that? I was just wondering. I wanted to see how you guys do that.
I guess I'll take the question on this one. So for a recording process, I do a lot of recording for the guys in the band. And especially when we're tracking this new album, me and Curtis spent a lot of time on his vocals because he had a vision for them. If anything, I just kind of guided him where to go.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the ideas that came from Curtis's songs were pretty much spot on. Like all I had to do was pretty much hit record for that one. And then when it comes down to me and Wally's songs, like I know me and Wally sat together and we really focused on lyrics and stuff like that. And honestly, like the stuff that those guys were producing was amazing. Like I was so happy to be working with them, and like the songs just flew by, which is a rare thing, because like the first 3 EPs, like we spent a lot of time working on them, stuff like a lot of changes on them. These ones just they were amazing. You couldn't go wrong.
Yeah, a lot of magic in the studio. Like when we get in there, we have like an idea going in, and I find like with Jason at the controls, it's just so easy to just get your creativity out there, get some stuff, get some tracks laid down, or retry ideas. Like the best example is Nebulae, right? Call of the Void. I don't know if you guys caught that, actually. Being French, the Call of the Void is actually originally a French term, like the I forget what it is, like the call du vide, which is the feeling of like that feeling you get when you're close to like a cliff and you're just like, I should just throw myself off this cliff. That's the Call of the Void. So that song actually started out, I had this idea. It started like with the one riff, it was the instrumental, but I had this idea of wanting that kind of clean intro and stuff, and sort of all the ambience and stuff. And I wasn't really sure how it was going to work. I tried some pre-production on my own. I was like, it's not so great. And then me and Jason just went to the studio one day, And I was like, okay, let's try this. Let's just lay down this track. And I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to do this thing. I'm just going to like scrape my pick on the top of my guitar or something, just layering all these effects and stuff into it. And it turned out just amazing. Like, so it was exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, my
be
hair
in the
stood
end.
up when I heard what you guys produced.
Yeah, it was so good. Like it really came together and like transcended what it was originally. Because we jammed that song plenty of times, like in the studio and whatnot. It's pretty basic. It's got like two riffs. So basic. There's like the one lead line and then the one like rhythm line underneath of it. But some of the stuff we did there.
I played 4 notes.
Yeah, 4 notes. Yeah,
and it's
like
still
that,
too hard for him to remember.
That very opening part, that like one clean pick scrape that kind of cycles between the channels sounds like power lines like coming down or something like that. Just chills every time. I love that. So yeah, there's so many cool things coming together. Being creative in the studio, putting this together.
So basically, if I get it, whoever writes the song is pretty much the leader of that song in a way.
Yeah, you kind of take the lead on it, the creative lead. It's kind of like where you want to see it go. Like we all have our input and be like, oh, this would sound cool here. Oh, that doesn't really work there. But yeah, ultimately, whoever's doing
just to
that.
Clarify, there's 2 components. So there's the writing of the music, and then afterwards we apply the lyrics. So typically when we have a song, we make a song, and usually the lyrics aren't done yet. We make the lyrics after, or we apply lyrics to the song, and then I have a set of lyrics, and I'm like, this song sounds like this set of lyrics by the feeling that I get. And then in my case, I will, Catherine's Braid was the first song on the album in which I had lyrics written, and then I gave that particular song the lyrics, and then I arranged it, and I had a vision, and then with Jason's assistance, made that happen, for example.
Yeah. The other thing too, mentioning that, is the way the songs usually start, especially from Brian's standpoint. Brian is very good at like, okay, here's a riff, get another riff, put this riff together, arrange it kind of like the bone structure of the song,
musical fabrication,
and then he's just like, good, there's a song done, right? And we have like this fully thought out like baseline of a song, and then from there, then it's like we get to take that into the studio and be like, okay, this is pretty generic. How do we make this interesting? How do we add more to this and like flesh out?
We produce songs very quickly because they are also very simple, as you guys have mentioned.
Because like, for instance, the drums for this album were recorded like a year before we finished the album. Like we had written all the songs. Brian, I think, Jason, you could probably answer this. How long did it take Brian to track all of them? Like 2 weekends, a weekend?
Like 3 days.
3 days?
2 days.
2 days. Yeah. So he tracked all of the drums in 2 days, and he was like, okay, I'm done. I'm out.
And then he's on our ass for
like a year for us to get all the guitars, the bass, and the lyrics and stuff. But like at that point, when he's done the drums and it's like set in stone there, like we don't even have like 80% of the song there. It's just like the backing tracks and the riffs, and then we build the songs on top of his drums.
And I think too, like even for Catherine's Braid, like when we had that song written, even after it was all like everyone knew the song, I went back in and changed a couple of riffs on it. And I was like, I'm just not happy with this. So I'm going to go back and change everything. And I think that screwed everyone up. They're like, well, what do you mean you changed it? Like, trust me, it sounds better. And I think it did. Everyone else did. So, but it's just like the original Catherine's Braid main riff was not anywhere close to what it was now.
So it's always exciting to get to the end of the album process because we don't even know what it's going to sound like until it's done. And like I think we were all very surprised at how this album turned it out.
Yeah, especially like even I think I mentioned to Wally too, like Global Enema. To me, that was like if you have to have a weak song on an album, to me that was our weakest song.
That was the throwaway song.
That was the throwaway song. But when we got it back all finished, I was like, holy fuck, this is a really good album. This is a really good song. Sorry, and I was like, this is really
that's the song that evolved the most out of all.
Yeah, and big time.
That's why
it started out as a bunch of like pasted together riffs, and then like
literally pasted together riffs.
It just grew.
And then I called it, washing out your asshole. It's actually the lyrics are actually from 9 years ago, from my old band. Because I never used the lyrics for Sonor Sodium because they weren't very good. And then I got back to them and I kind of revamped them a little bit, and I changed the name of the song because Brian actually
Purify was the original name of the song, I think.
Yeah, and that was just too cliche.
So you wanted something nasty
because Batman in the first Joker movie.
Yeah.
He said, "This town needs an enema."
This town
As
needs
in-
an enema.
Like from Gotham City, right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, global enema.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is clean all the shit out because
Yeah.
plague and all or whatever.
It's funny because when I wrote lyrics for my old band, every
Yeah.
time I would write lyrics, it'd always be because they would send me the tracks with like dumb titles, and I'd always look at the dumb title and find a way to make it not dumb, and then use that, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it was really funny because at one point they couldn't think of a dumb title to put, so they just put T1 for track 1, right? But I turned that song into a Terminator song
Of course.
Nice.
Yeah. Yes.
because why not, right? So
Yeah.
I just wrote lyrics about Sarah Connor and stuff like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And the song just ended up being a full-on Terminator song.
That's weird.
Like the chorus just goes, "Must kill Sarah Connor. She must die. She will die."
Yeah.
Into the chopper.
So it was, and it's actually one of like the catchiest songs I ever wrote because the lyrics were just so out there.
It's funny how that happens, and it's like sometimes it's the ones you least expect. Always.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You don't expect it to be a great track, and then when you finish the product, you're like, okay, this is really fun.
Yeah, when in my 20s, I had like a mathcore band, and back then it was a thing. And yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. And the singer's like, he didn't, not that he didn't care, but he's like, we were like writing the song in the guitar player, and then he would just look at the guitar player. He's like, okay, what am I talking about on that song? And he's like, one time, guy's like, Sailor Moon. Like, okay,
Yeah.
just talking about Sailor Moon. Then the next one's like, which Carmen San Diego. Okay, fuck it, doing it. And
I remember that band.
Yeah. What is it? What's the name of that fucking that old movie? That little robot from the 80s, Johnny Five.
Short Circuit.
Short circuit. Yeah.
I was
Short
just talking
Circuit,
about that
yeah.
movie today, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
So he actually,
Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too?
Yeah, he wrote a song about like him against a microwave or something stupid like that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's funny how it comes up sometimes, when so our bands some of them are like super serious and like are talking about big like politics and stuff like that, and other bands are just like, yeah, I'll just talk about shit and dicks.
You can take
robots and
inspiration from a lack of inspiration is kind of
Yeah.
the sentiment.
That's true. Yeah.
I still have that album, Smo.
Yeah, you still have it. Yeah, I still have it too. It's terrible. I mean, not terrible, but I mean the songs are good. The recording is terrible.
Well, it's just
Anyways.
like I have all of the Zuckus albums.
Oh,
Some
I
good
think
Star Wars inspired porno grind.
nice.
you know Zuckus? Come on.
I don't.
Never
You
heard
don't
of
know
it.
Zuckus? They're from I think they're
Vancouver.
from Surrey. Are they from Vancouver? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same
Vancouver
thing.
area somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a grindcore band with like 4-second songs, and it's all like Star Wars sound drops and samples.
Yeah, like they have
and
Rancor
Tit Fuck-
Rim Job and
Tit
Tit Fuck
Fuck
by
by
Tauntaun.
Tauntaun.
Yeah, they just have like a whole bunch of like out of context Star Wars samples in there. I'll never forget.
voiced
Was it Filthy's? Did we see them at Filthy McNasty's? Is that where
Yeah,
they
I
were
did.
playing
Yeah.
in Edmonton? And their drummer's literally like drumming and going crazy and stuff while he's like puking into a bucket
pitcher.
next to him and stuff.
To
The pitcher, yeah.
Yeah.
Like literally like puking his
Yeah.
guts out as he's drumming.
And
just
then he
keeps
showed me a
going.
photo of his shit that was like a spiral all the way up the toilet.
Wow, that is grindcore.
Yeah, 100%.
Full on
100%, man.
grindcore.
Those guys
That's
are
the
crazy.
BC scene.
That I
Oh.
love that. That's amazing.
Another
there's-
sign by Disney.
There's something else I wanted to talk about too. It's more with you, Wally.
Sure.
I like you. I really like the leads on the album. I find they have some sort of like an uncommon sound for like a death metal, which I
Thank
like,
you.
by the way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, they're very cool, and like I'm a drummer too, so usually like for me solo is like, let's get to the heavy, let's get to the fast drumming back again. But I was just wondering what was your influences for those leads or your lead guitar playing in general, and why?
Oh man, yeah. My inspiration for lead guitar playing. So I think one of my biggest influences for guitar, at least in the early days and stuff, was Joe Satriani. So
Yeah.
listened to a lot of him, and then
I can hear a little bit of that. Yeah.
yeah,
You
and
say it,
then a lot of my tremolo picking and stuff comes from like Cradle of Filth, like
Okay.
Paul Allender and stuff. So that was a lot of like my early chops, playing a lot of that stuff, and then I listened to like a lot of Necrophagists and stuff, and then Opeth. Like it goes all over the place. A lot of doom metal, so like Draconian and Catatonia. I like those kind of sounds. So I like to. Yeah, my lead guitar playing definitely goes between black metal and like it goes between pretty and nasty, right? So, and that was what my old band Sonar Sodium was all about, was that juxtaposition of like making something, dark and nasty can still be beautiful, right?
Yeah, hence the name Sonorous and Odium.
Sonar Sodium, yeah, that's literally the resonating hatred, essentially. Yeah.
Okay.
So so it's kind of like where a lot of my inspiration comes on leads. So yeah, I like to
Let's extend that question to everybody, and do it for your instrument and your vocals if you can.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So if you want to continue, Wally, with
sure.
your vocal influences.
My vocal influences, that's an interesting one. So probably in some ways, definitely Devin Townsend from Strapping Young Lad. In my early days, a lot of and then again Opeth, like that was like one of my gateway like death metal bands way back in the day. So that, and then Watain for like a lot of the like black metal stuff, like my high pitched stuff is definitely more Watain. And then another band that's very similar into the style that I do is This Ending, which used to be way back Canaris Quintet.
Yep.
So yeah, so that
Canaris Quintet, isn't there guys from like Amon Amarth in that band?
Yeah, the drummer is from Amon Amarth. Yeah. So yeah, so those are some of my vocal influences for sure.
Cool. Next.
I'll go next because
cool.
It's gonna be pretty small. I guess for vocal influences, this is my first time ever doing like lead vocals on any project ever.
And that's a good story too. Is we kind of taught.
Yeah,
we worked with Jason to
exactly right. So if I had to say my influences, Wally and Curtis. Honestly, like
like thank you.
Like seriously, like especially Curtis. Like he would sit with me in the studio and be like, try doing this, like do this with your mouth, like I'm doing this weird shit, and I was like, are you fucking serious right now, bud?
Do this weird shit.
that's how I started with Curtis.
And also it's like exactly what I'm talking about, Wally. But like even it's like because I like going to karaoke and stuff like that, so like I always love doing like the most metal karaoke songs I can find. So like I'm a huge thrash guy as well. Like I grew up listening to like thrash metal through and through, and that's kind of where I'm really into. So when I got asked to join Sadistic, I was like, what do you mean death metal? Like what the hell does this do?
Oh yeah, it was a whole new thing to you. Yeah.
It was a brand new thing for me like 4 years ago. So I never really checked out any death metal bands. So over the last 4 years, I've started listening to a lot of different bands, stuff like that. I couldn't even give you names, unfortunately, because there's just been so many.
Yeah, I'm mostly I keep throwing my death metal influences at you, like make the make it sound like that,
Yeah, do it now. Yeah. And then for playing guitar, I grew up in like the 80s and 90s stuff like that, especially 90s. I'm a huge new metal guy, unfortunately, but huge Machine Head fan, huge Metallica fan, Pantera, stuff like that. So I guess that's where most of my guitar influences came from. And then again, music that Curtis got me into, like one of the biggest bands he got me into, like I would say influence wise, would be Rotting Christ. Like just the guitar playing on that is just fucking phenomenal. And I think there's a couple of songs I've even written before then where it's very Rotting Christ influence.
It's funny that you mentioned Machine Head and Rotting Christ, because
that's
I'm pretty sure it was Global Enema. Yeah. For the longest time, its working title was Machine Head Christ, because it was your like Machine Head inspired riffs with my Rotting Christ inspired riffs.
Yeah. So I would say those, like, that's pretty much how I came around, just playing guitar, doing vocals, and like I said, been playing guitar for like 15, 16 years and stuff. And just definitely the last 4 years have changed when it comes to playing guitar, that's for sure. There's a lot of new bands I've been into. So
very cool. And for you, Curtis?
I've been playing bass on and off for about 15 years. And I started out in, just like Wally, in the classical music training. I'm not, first of all, I'm not particularly good at bass guitar. I try my best. I practice when I can, and I try to look good. That's the thing.
Well, you do that well, at least, right?
Yeah, right. So, but my bass influences are anything that's groovy. Since I started out in jazz, I was a big funk fan, and I just like, I was a big Primus fan. So if I can find a way to kind of get anything groovy, anything catchy, something to, I just hate that death metal often hides the bass guitar. But if I can find a way to get the rhythm to kind of pop out, and you can hear the bass and you hear what it's doing in the background, like Winter Spire off of Beloved Imprisonment. If you listen closely, it's one of my favorite songs for bass because there's some interesting melodies and rhythms in there that are kind of popping out and kind of insidious. And finally, I had a little bass solo, bass lead line, my first one ever, for like 5 seconds on Flesh Deposition on Bloodspell. So you can hear that in the beginning. But otherwise I play simply, and I try to have interesting rhythms, and I work very closely with the drummer. So influences are, like I mentioned, like Primus, and any kind of groovy, Blood Red Throne has an interesting, Blood Red Throne.
Oh yeah, that band is amazing.
Norwegian death metal, which is very rare.
Yep.
So they have some pretty deep bass lines in there. Vocally, so I was a vocalist before. That's why I played bass before I did vocals. But my first time in a band, I was a vocalist with Sonor Sodium. I was a frontman, and that's when I was getting into Amon Amarth. So I had a Johan Haig influence, and then at the same time, I was very into Nile, and I'm very happy that Bloodspell. Well, that's 3 vocalists, as was Nile back then. There were 3 vocalists that were swapping out all the time in every single song, and that's what I was hoping to get a bit more of in this album. So Dallas Toller Wade from Nile, Amon Amarth, Johan Haig, those type of vocals were always my favorite. That were the ability to have that range and clarity. And what's important to me, and what everybody in this band is doing really well for this album, and even what Nate was doing in the past EPs, was having that clarity in word. And I'm a bit biased because I know the lyrics, but I'm pretty sure you can understand what we're saying.
Oh yes, you can.
I've had a lot of people comment on that too. Like, a lot of my friends don't even listen to metal, and they're just like, I can actually understand like everything you're saying.
Same thing. I've had people say that too.
So we enunciate really well.
That's what we're doing. Is
I think sometimes I over enunciate a little bit too much. You can understand me a little too well. I'm just like, man, I would just gotta be a little bit grittier,
Grittier.
See, I can blame that on my accent as well. I'll be like, why are you saying it like that? I'm from Ireland. That's why.
Nice. I'm gonna open a second beer. So
that's
what I was doing. That's why mine came from.
I'll go grab myself another drink here. I'll be back in a minute.
All right.
Sure,
So I'm opening a beer from Les Grands Bois. So it's called Bingo Pivot. And the type of beer, I can't even pronounce that. It's like Svele Vixepeni.
Where is it from?
It's from here in Quebec also. They're a brewery close to Quebec City, actually.
Yeah.
They're from Saint-Casimir. So I'm really interested in trying this because it's a type of beer. I have no clue what it is.
Well, we get to see a reaction live now, so that's good.
So the name of the style of the beer is in French. What kind of
that
language is
French,
that?
no.
Another language.
Yeah.
I have no clue where they took it. It has a nice color. It looks like a blonde lager type beer.
Can you show me the name again?
Yep. It's with like
I have no idea what that is. I don't know.
Me neither.
Yeah.
So
No idea. I don't know where they got that. So was it good?
oh, it's very like traditional type lager. It's
Okay.
Interesting.
It's
I'll probably
very-
love it then. Yeah.
Oh, it's very, very nice. Oh, I like this. This is a good like afternoon, let's chill on my patio type beer.
See,
So
for me,
anyways-
growing up in Ireland, I loved like the traditional lager tasting, so I'll probably have to grab the name of that from you again. So
Yeah, one of my buddies on YouTube right now, he's like, dude, I just drank that exact beer. And he's like, it was an excellent beer. It's like a beer when you're really thirsty.
Oh, those are the best.
Yeah, it's like the type of beer like you open it up and you just crank it,
Yeah.
It's just it tastes really good. So anyways, I was wondering since you guys have obviously said earlier that you haven't seen each other in a while and all that, have you kept busy in the music universe at all, either be other projects or rewriting more Sadistic Embodiment stuff? Do you have like any stuff coming up?
Well, I guess I'll probably be the most busiest guy out between everyone so far. Before we haven't seen each other, like I think it's been like 2 or 3 months now since we actually got in the same room together. We started working on a couple of new songs for the new album. We haven't even, we just pretty much released this one. We started writing a new one already. So we had a couple of ideas that we were throwing around, and then I think Brian has them saved on his phone somewhere. So that's something when we eventually get back in the same room together, we're gonna work on that again, hopefully. And then non-sadistic stuff, I've unfortunately been recording my friend doing country. So
I was there for one of those days.
yeah, you were there for one of them. It's it's music, man, and I love working with people that has some talent and want to do the thing that they love. And he was needing help with recording his country stuff, and I was like, hey man, I have no problem helping you at all. So he just actually released a single on Friday, and he's doing pretty good with that one. So the first single he released was like 10,000 streams on Spotify. So I was like, hey man, if you get that, you owe me like $40. So
we should have
If I
gone into
could-
country.
dude, we
What are we
should.
doing?
That's where the money is, honestly.
Nobody
seriously.
goes into metal for money, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So
That
make a
one
metal
city-
band and a country band. The
Yeah.
country band.
What are
makes
we,
the money
Pantera? Come on.
for the metal
But
band.
wasn't that like Dan Bag's other band too? Like was it Rebel Meets Rebel?
Oh
That's
my
already been
God,
done now.
yeah.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, but was it actually good though?
No.
Maybe not to us.
Fortunately. Fortunately. I wanted it to be good, but it's not.
Oh,
In
we
my
all want everything
own
to be good,
personal
though.
opinion.
Yeah.
Hey, we actually have a question from YouTube. We got Felix that's asking how you guys decided on the visual of the album cover. It is really original.
That was a question for Curtis. Take it away, buddy.
So all of our EPs and this album have been the art of a demonica, which happens to be Brian's fiance. And so this particular album is based on a song which we mentioned earlier, Catherine's Braid. And well, the Catherine's Wheel, otherwise known as the breaking wheel, was a torture / execution device in the Middle Ages. It was very popular in France and Germany, I have to say. So as you would see, is an individual who is specifically broken and each long boned. If you look at the album cover, you'll see that there are 9 fractures on the guy. Here, your femur, and then the chest or the back. And that represents how many spokes would have been on the wheel, for example. So in the song, Catherine's Braid, 9 spokes, 9 strokes, because they literally would break. Yeah, they would literally break you. That's the song. They would literally break you with
such
the
a
wheel.
good chorus, man. That's so good.
And then what they would call braiding, they would braid the body because everything is fractured on the spokes of the wheel, and they would prop you up like several feet using the axle of the wagon, and then let the animals eat you while you pass away through blood loss and the elements. And again, that ties back into the theme of sadistic embodiment, which is typically, the human condition and how we treat each other and how we treat the world, and suffering and psychological suffering that we can have, and how we torture people throughout the ages. So what you see there is representation of everything. So Blood Spell is also a lyric from the song Catherine's Braid.
Nice. It's
Very
really
cool.
cool. It's very cool because me and Smo are actually in a band. He mentioned it earlier. It's called Cruel Fate. And we always talk about old tortures and medieval stuff. And like the album is called A Quaternary of Decrepit Nightmares, and nightmares as in the horses.
Oh,
and
nice.
and like our album cover is just horses tearing someone apart, right?
those are good old days, eh?
Yeah, the good old days. So it's really cool that you're talking to me about like old
Yeah, neat.
tortures and Catherine's
Yeah.
braid and all that stuff, because that's where we're into also.
I probably stole one of the song ideas. I'm sorry.
It's okay. The all the album is about I think it was a king or a lord, I can't remember. It's historical. They used to torture people with that kind of torture, having like the 4 horses and then just
Drawing and quartering.
yeah, exactly. And apparently what he would do is he would take old and tired horses so it lasted longer. Yeah, like
they were creative
clever.
when it came to killing people
Like
back in those days, man. Like, they
terrible
had nothing better to do. I was like, how can we make this worse?
Yeah, let's make it worse and more fun for us.
Yeah, okay, how can we make the party last with that thing? Yeah, let's make
It's
it
so brutal.
It was like the
Yeah, I
YouTube
know.
algorithm of the dark ages, right?
It's terrible.
That was just more
Terrible.
entertaining. Let's get this last long. We need to sell more mead.
You keep the guys around. Yeah, have a break, intermission.
Yeah.
Intermission.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Let's get the popcorn guy walking around with like the mead, fresh mead.
Yeah. Oh man. That's
Wow.
Well,
Hey
my
Curtis,
God.
did you mention actually what blood spell itself means? Because I think that's probably easily misinterpreted. It's not it's
not
not like
magic.
an actual spell. It's I'll let you explain that, Curtis.
I'm kind of lacking the legal terminology for it, but it's the old way of saying this individual is convicted and will be sent to hang or sent to be drawn by the horse or be broken by the wheel in this manner. So the blood spell is like a list of things that is going to happen to this person as they die.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's just like blood, like the spell part, like the blood spell is just an archaic kind of terminology for that.
The line in the song
Yeah,
is
exactly.
the blood spell decrees.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
The court is decreeing this type of action.
Very
So
nice.
it's not so much that it's magical, but rather like that's
One of our
it's legal.
one of our viewers in Sherbrooke, Felix, is mentioning you guys should tour Canada together in the future.
It would be great.
It's
Oh, like
making it
us? That'd be
Yeah,
great.
I think he's saying we should tour with you guys.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. Yeah. It'd be great to come out to the East Coast. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we do old school death metal. We're slower than you guys, much slower.
We're slow too.
Yeah, that's okay. Actually, that was something that we did with my old band with Sonar Sodium. Is we never wanted to make shows that had similar lineups. So we were a melodic death metal band, but we always grabbed a couple of our other friends to play some other shows, and so we wouldn't want other similar bands. We want we'd play a lot with Samandriel, which is a power metal band, and then like either a thrash or like straight up death metal band.
But
Like
Wally,
it's more interesting,
There were no other melodic death metal bands.
That's true. That's true, and there still really aren't. That's not really a common
not in our
genre,
scene.
and
But
not on this side, but.
I find that thrash and death always go together, though.
Yeah.
It's like you
Our
can
last show.
always have a death and a thrash metal band.
Yeah,
It always fits.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's a good introduction to a question that I had. So let's go ahead with that. Well, I was just wondering because obviously we're far apart. You guys are in Alberta, we're in Quebec, and we're far apart in a lot of subjects. In general. But I mean, like not you guys, but I mean like Alberta and Quebec. But I want to know what's the big difference between the Alberta metal scene compared like to the Quebec one. How big is the scene? How you guys get along? Is there and I'd like you guys if you can tell us some unknown bands from Alberta that people or our viewers or us should check out, and some of the best places you guys like venues or stuff in Alberta that metalheads could like.
That's like 4 questions, man.
I know it's 4 questions, but
The most obvious difference between the Alberta metal scene and Quebec is international bands actually go to Quebec.
Yep.
So we get like
and
way less.
They come here to many places too. They go to
Yeah.
Quebec City. They go to Montreal.
Yeah, it's like here they might go to Calgary, they might go to Edmonton, they maybe go to both. It's like a North American tour really just means America,
Toronto and Quebec.
Toronto and Vancouver. So
Yeah.
it's like we get so much fewer bands coming through Alberta. So we're a lot more. The metal scene is a lot more starved, I think, for content. So
Okay.
that's my 2 cents on that
Well,
part.
the Alberta scene is actually is a prairie scene. So people in Winnipeg have the same issues as people in Calgary as far as the metal scene goes. First of all, there's not that many people.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a smaller population, more conservative, less artsy fartsy, especially in Alberta.
Mm-hmm.
And this distance.
Yeah.
You just can't go to the next city that easily. We have Edmonton, Red Deer, Calgary, and that's about it, unless you want to make a really big trip to Saskatoon. And then, or if you want to make a really big trip, 12 hours to Winnipeg, which actually has a really good metal scene.
Or 12 hours to Vancouver.
Yeah.
Or doing what was it, like 10 hours, 6 hours, something like that to Kamloops to play a shitty show for like 4 people.
That's the old band.
But no, you made a good point, Curtis. Actually, it's a lot less artsy out here, a lot more like blue collar and trades and stuff. So I find we have a lot more nasty bands out here, a lot of like thrash and death and whatnot. I know a lot of my favorite bands come from like the coasts, like even Quebec. I mean, you got the Beyond Creation, and then Quo Vadis. Really big fan of Quo Vadis.
I've seen them. I think I've seen them about like 15 times.
Really? I've only seen them once here.
I'm a big Gorguts fan.
And they played in Old New City on Jasper Ave. And I remember because their lead guitarist there was having huge issues with his stack that he was playing with. That was like a long time ago.
Probably 2007.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I love Quo Vadis. And then there's so many like musically rich bands that come out of the Montreal scene over there. And then on the Vancouver side, I mean, Strapping Lad is an obvious one, Devin Townsend in general, and then like one of my favorite modern tech bands, Arcspire. So like love those guys. So you got like so much coming from that side, and just very different bands coming from the inner Canada.
Was 3 Inches of Blood from Vancouver?
Yes.
Man, those guys were fucking awesome.
Yeah. You blow my mind. Holy shit.
Yeah, it was like one of those bands I seen live. I'm like, this fucking guy sings like that. Holy fuck!
When it wasn't cool anymore, right? Like it was like 2008, 2000. When I saw them, it was like 2010, and no one was singing like that. And I saw them live. I'm like, it just like that love for old school thrashy metal came back to me. Is like, okay, fuck the new metal thing. I'm done.
Yeah, like that was for like when you're talking about like when vocal starts, like when guys start singing, that was for me like with Protest a Hero. Like you're like the style of music and stuff like that, and then Buddy starts singing. I'm like, holy fuck, this completely took me by surprise. And it was one of those bands that is love as well, right? So yeah.
One thing I could say about venues, actually, having been, because I've been to shows. I saw Curtis. Were you with me when we went to Vancouver and saw Catatonia that year? Did you not go to that one? It was at the Rickshaw Theater. That was pretty good. And I've been to venues in like Calgary and stuff. But yeah, the Edmonton, the Starlight Room. I got to shout out to the Starlight Room. That in all the places that I've been, the Starlight Room has got to be one of the best metal venues like in Canada. It must be. It definitely is up there.
Western Canada, maybe.
Yeah.
So Tyson Boyd's the boss. He really is, man.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. I've had so many like intimate experiences. That's probably one of the best parts about being a metalhead and going to metal shows is like, if you're into like pop and whatever, you're never gonna get anywhere near that close to those artists. But like metal, you can be like this close to like artists that have like shaped your life. As a metalhead, like I'll never forget being in the Starlight Room and seeing Dark Tranquilities is particularly, and having Mikhail Stain up there, and he's like clasping arms with you, singing like into your face, and it's just like
you got to sing on stage with Hypocrisy the first time.
Yeah. When Hypocrisy first came through there, I was on stage there with him. That was fun. And then same with like Strapping Lads, and then when Devin Townsend came through,
when you were talking
so many bands,
when you were talking about influences, there's one, Hypocrisy. Peter.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That
Yeah.
guy is probably for me one of the best vocalists of
Yeah.
all time.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
can sing in,
that's- yeah.
he can sing in pain.
Guitar
which-
and vocals definitely one of my
Exactly.
biggest influences.
He sings
there.
in his
Yeah.
pain band, which is like
Yeah.
clean hard rock, which is really fun. And then
Yeah.
he has Hypocrisy, great melodic death band,
and
and
Bloodbath,
then Bloodbath.
Yeah.
Eaton.
That album is to me the best death metal album of all time. It
Yeah.
beats out anything ever released for me.
Tristan, if you're listening, that's what he's talking about. I showed you that one.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
insane. And just the story behind Eaton is that
Break
is
my
just,
bones, break my marrow.
it's just sick, and it's a true story. That's the fucked up part. Anyways, so any other bands you guys want to mention or stuff in your area that'd be
Bands from Alberta?
Well, maybe Cult Prairies. This is
The Prairies?
well.
Yeah.
I want to shout out Votov death metal from Winnipeg, and I want to shout out Altars of Grief, which is a melodic doom metal band, which is very rare in Prairies from Winnipeg as well.
Okay, cool
we'll check
stuff.
them out for sure.
Yeah, we note everything and then go back and listen to
Yeah.
everything that's
Altars of
mentioned.
Grief.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
One of my favorite Edmonton bands is one of Newbury's old bands, which is Death Toll Rising. They've always been one of my favorite local bands to go and see. Like I'd go out and then just like support them huge when they used to play. So they're really fun.
We were in the music video.
Yes, yeah, their music video for
We were in it. Yeah.
I forget which song it was that they did, but
on YouTube, Felix is mentioning Unleash the Archers from your area, which is really popular right now.
I've actually never listened
Vancouver.
to Unleash the Archers.
Yep.
But
I
was
actually
listening
listened
to
for the first
them
time
today.
a month ago. They're really good.
And then Cobra and the Lotus from Calgary.
Oh, good old Yasho. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
One of the few of us that have broken out and really, made it as a musician.
No, he's the only one. I don't know what you're talking about.
The only one. Yeah. Yeah.
So did you have any bands, Jason, you wanted to mention?
There's a couple like Tessitura. They've been around for a while too. Those guys are all amazing musicians as well. Kind of go back to what Curtis was saying earlier in the video, like a female fronted like melodic death metal band.
Okay.
Definitely check those guys out. I know they released an album last year.
I got one.
A year ago. And then Quietus as well.
Oh, Quietus. Yeah.
Quietus is
Good.
like it's hard to explain. Just
They're melodic metal.
Yeah.
CJ is not human.
He's not like again. He's like the stuff that they come out with is again. It's one of those bands like you hear them playing and then they start singing. You're like,
Oh, actually,
fuck.
on that note too, we can't not mention Tyler Dory. That guy's also an inhuman guy.
Yeah,
The Tyler
that's
Dory
called-
trio and some of the other stuff he's been in. Yeah,
Okay.
phenomenal guitar player, phenomenal vocalist.
Yeah.
You know,
Underrated as fuck.
oh yeah, big time. Definitely go search up Tyler Dory. Yeah,
Okay.
he's really good. And then I was going to mention Eye of Horus.
Yeah.
Those
yeah,
guys
I
are
know that band.
amazing. Those guys are amazing. They were just coming onto the scene when Sonor Sodium was in its heyday, and they have since they've gotten so good. I listened to their last album, and I was just like, wow.
And I think they opened for us for our third EP release as well.
Yeah,
I believe.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, it was them and Quietus and
Yeah.
Breaking the Silent as well.
That was a good show.
yeah,
Yeah.
Eye of Horus. Those guys are fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, so we're gonna go with the next question. I know you guys are not signed on Canadian Records, CDN Records. Yes. How did that come to happen, and how has your experience been with them up to now?
Amazing. It's been great, our experience with them. I mean, I'm not really sure how it happened. Curtis, do you know who did they talk to first? Because we didn't search them out. They came to us, I think.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Brian reached out to one of their other members or
Oh, I
vice
know.
versa or whatever. And I think
It's
I know one from
Votov.
there, but
So
Yeah,
Brian
Votov,
is
yeah.
friends with Chuck from Votov from Winnipeg. They
Okay.
recently signed, and then Chuck told Craig from CDN, "Hey, pretty cool band at Edmonton." Then Craig reached out to us, and they're like, "That sounds like a pretty good deal." Cha-ching.
Nice.
Yeah. It was just win-win. There was really no reason not to, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing being a part of that family. I mean, they helped us put out a couple of our lyric videos, and I mean, we didn't have to pay anything for our CDs. So like they printed the CDs and stuff for us, and it's and they asked for almost nothing in return. And then because of them, like our music has now been played I mean, you guys wouldn't even know about us if it wasn't for them, really.
Exactly.
So I mean, it's
shout
amazing.
out shout out to Asher Media though. He's the one
that too. Yeah, we did get them too to Asher to send out those press kits, but that really came kind of after. It was the signing of us to CDN that kind of started us down this more like professional path of like treating our music more, trying to get it out there more rather than just self-distributing it. Once we had that label, once we're signed on that label, it's like, okay, well, we got to start doing something with this now, because like they want us to promote our music. So we started thinking, how can we promote this more, especially since we have this platform to go off of. And it's just an amazing experience.
Have you been able to do shows at all to release the album though, with the COVID situation and all that?
I think we had one that we were thinking about doing, and well, now the COVID situation in Alberta is worse than when we were in wave 1. So
yeah, I think like Wally said, I think we were planning to have one for end of November at one of the very few bars. I think there's like maybe 1 or 2 bars in the city that's actually doing live music right now. With like huge restrictions going on, like like table service only, and they can't walk around without a mask on and stuff like that. But for having something in November, especially when like the winter's coming and stuff like that, and everyone's going to get sick again, so it's I don't know, man. I think this year is pretty much a write-off, unfortunately, right? So
yeah,
so it gives us time to work on something for the new year, and make it even better, right? Come back with a kick to everyone's face, literally, right? So
yeah, I'm looking forward to getting these songs out on the stage and getting the three of us, because that like trifecta of vocals was kind of just a trial in one of our like last shows. And then since then we've kind of made it like that's the kind of the front image of our album now. So it's like, can't wait to actually hone that in and present that for real.
Yeah,
like fun.
Like
it's still like our best show we ever had too, which is awesome.
So it's funny, since you guys haven't been able to do any shows. Like our album dropped in December 2019, so I mean, we haven't been able to do any shows.
Wow, that's even worse.
We did one show to promote the album.
We did the official release, and then 2 weeks later, it's like, COVID, everybody stay home. Like,
and like even if you could do a show now, like how many people would really show up and stuff? I mean, especially as a local band, it's hard enough to get people to come out to your show as it is, let alone during a pandemic. So
I'm gonna go with another question. What's been your favorite album in 2020 though?
Ooh, favorite album in 2020.
I heard Bloodspell by Sadistic Embodiment.
Good comeback. Good comeback. I like that.
One.
Well, I can shoot one that I really like this year, and it's in my top 3 for sure. But I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Kilitaurus. No, they're a really crazy fucking tech death grind band from here in Ottawa, and holy shit, that album is amazing. The album is called The After Party, because their first album was called Party Grind, and now their second album is called The After Party. So yeah, they're called Kilitaurus. If you like your Archspire and stuff like that, Wally, you should enjoy Kilitaurus.
Kilitaurus, how do you spell that?
CLIT. Clitoris.
that's the way it's supposed to be said, right? But it's like kill I Taurus.
I know a couple clitoris.
But yeah, when you say it fast, it's supposed to be clitoris.
I'm researching that too. That's what I'm doing right now as well, right? So
yeah, you're researching clits.
Yeah. Pornhub.
It's actually funny. I literally searched up Kilitaurus. Like I typed in KILITORS, and it says amateur sex and porn video. HDvideoporn.com.
Nice.
Yeah, that's them. Yeah, that's definitely the one too.
Figure out how to find these guys, but
it's Kilitaurus, like kill KILL.
I found it. Wally, I'll send it to you on Facebook if you want.
TOROUS.
Yeah, okay, you have to send it to me. I'll have to look.
Yeah, I just
really good tech band, and their album is just fucking crazy, like just completely bonkers. And well, the guy in the band, like it's his project. He's had it for years. He's actually the guitarist in Annihilator now.
Oh,
Aaron Kioma.
Okay.
Yeah, he's an Annihilator. He's been in the band for a few years now. He was actually also in Vital Remains for a while.
Yeah. I mean, everyone was in Vital Remains, I think.
Obviously, yeah.
Vital's great.
So yeah,
Actually,
that's one of my favorite albums.
So many albums have come out this year. I'm behind.
Have you
can
guys
pick up the
heard?
pace a bit.
Have you guys heard Smart Crown's new album from like February or so?
Nope.
Smart Crown.
That's
Yeah.
good.
That's blackened death metal, if you want to call it that. It's they're a French band from France. They're very heavily influenced by Gojira.
Okay.
So if you take Gojira and make them basically death metal / black metal, then that's what you get.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Wolves Among the Ashes is the new release, and I really like the album art. That's really eye-catching, and their music video is really sweet. Their single is really catchy. It's generally a good to great album. But otherwise, I can't say I have any outstanding 2020 albums other than that one that I can recall.
Cool. Jason or Wally?
For me, it's just like we were talking earlier about two favorite albums we've heard, and that's pretty much what I've really been
Okay.
listening to this year so far. Like I said, for that Orbit Culture, hands down, probably for me, album of the year. Although
Okay.
we're still 2 months left, so could have a surprise in the meeting, right? So hard to say, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really been paying attention to new albums this year, so yeah, I can't really say.
All good. All good. Ty, the guy that reviews with me on Wednesdays, he also mentions the newest Benighted. That one was a fucking killer too.
Oh, how about the new Aborted? They released an EP.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna put that in my top albums. I love Aborted, like obviously, right?
I was looking at that. Yeah. I like that EP that came out.
It's a great 3-song EP, but it's not gonna be my top album of the
No.
year.
So it looks like Brian might pop on.
Like now?
Yeah,
We're almost just about to be done.
I told him that. I was like, dude,
That's okay.
Like there's one more question pretty much.
All right.
So
Tell him to join the after party then.
yeah, because if you guys are available, we always have a little after party. So
Yeah, sure. I'm not going anywhere. I still got.
I do have another unopened Kokani.
Here we go.
Kokani.
all right, so Simon, last question.
Yeah, well, before that, for me so far, I think it's the album from Church of the Dead.
Oh
so far,
yeah.
for me, yeah, really like that band. It's like death metal. They call themselves. They say they do death metal, old schoolish, but there's a lot of like black metal influence, like old black metal influence to it, which I really like.
Yeah,
so,
sounds
and
cool.
I've been listening back and forth a lot of music, and every time this album pops on, I'm like, oh fuck, is it so ever good? So I'm not necessarily saying it's my number one, but it's the one that every time that it comes on, I'm like, oh fuck, is it so? It's good. I just like it. Yeah. To finish, actually, we'll just go to like a lighter question. We'll go somewhere else. To finish, we were when I was researching you guys, I face creeped you a little bit to see what you guys are up to, and
I was wondering what that feeling was.
and I was still naked while doing it because I was listening to your album. So, I'll send you pictures after.
Do that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you guys. I don't know for all of you, but some of you guys are really like very cool, like uncommon job for a Quebecer like me at least. So I'd like to hear. I'd like to hear a little bit like a short description of your job and what makes it like. What makes your job like awesome or not awesome, whatever.
Day jobs.
Yeah, day jobs.
Yeah, day job. Yeah.
I'll go first because mine's the most lamest one actually of everybody's. So I work for a confidential paper destruction company. So I'm a shredder.
Nice.
And that's literally about it. I lift heavy fucking paper up and down stairs all day, and
Hey, you can
they pay me well.
You get to visit businesses all over the city, and you get to meet people behind the desk and take their highly confidential garbage and process it and make sure.
All my garbage.
Yeah. Curtis worked with me for like a couple of months, and that was about it.
Hey, it was like 6 months I was there. You fuck.
Yeah, it's only a couple of months. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
When you're there for a life sentence, it only feels like a couple months.
Yeah, it's 3 years next month for me.
You just blipped in and out. Yeah.
All right.
I got so that's pretty much my lame ass job. Everyone else has got better job to me. So
Actually, speaking of which, Brian just said that he was chasing down one of the bulls at their farm with quads. So I mean, that's what he's doing right now.
He's a farmhand more recently, helping the family farm, and he's also working out of a part distribution warehouse in a small town in southeast Saskatchewan.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, what about you guys, Curtis or Wally?
Yeah, so I'm an ecologist. And I do environmental consulting, and it's mostly oil and gas industry stuff. So, for example, when heavy industry is doing work across the Rocky Mountains, it's my job to do the monitoring and ensure that the construction companies are correctly following the laws and legislation that the government has put out to protect the environment.
Yep.
So in this case, for this week, I'm currently in Prince George, British Columbia, and I'm monitoring water quality and ensuring that there isn't, sediments and materials being discharged into creeks and streams along this pipeline that we're working on. In addition, I'm also doing fish salvage in the ice at the moment. It's actually 3 inches of ice up in the mountains where I work.
Okay.
So mostly minnow traps and things like just small little trout and things that we're trying to pull out of these water bodies that are intersecting, or at least what the pipeline is intersecting, for example, and salvaging those fish and putting them somewhere safe where they can continue living their little lives. So that's like one example of what I do. And yesterday, why is it so cool? Well, yesterday I got to see a lynx. Wally called me, actually.
I was calling you when you were talking about that. Yeah.
Calling about my breakup, and then there's like a fucking lynx on the ice 40 yards away from me, just hanging out, chilling while I'm pulling out this multi-parameter scientific piece of equipment that's in the water that we use to detect the different water parameters. And that creature walks around us in the forest, and then shortly after that, wolves start howling. And then I saw 2 wolves run down the hill towards where the lynx was walking in that direction, all within 10 minutes of each other, which is super rare in my experience. So in the mountains, it was cold as fuck, but that's what I live for, and that's what I do.
It's amazing.
Very cool. Yeah.
And Wally.
And then I have the exact opposite job. I'm an electrical engineer. I work for a company called Novatel that does GPS systems for like agriculture, surveying, military and stuff, like automotive, autonomous vehicles and stuff. So I'm a hardware systems architect there, and I spend all my days dealing with like designing electronic circuits and software and stuff. So we do like GPS antennas for tanks, like going to both American and Canadian military. And then we do stuff for like tractors for, making sure that all your seed rows and stuff are straight and all that stuff for like combines and whatnot for all those big like farm equipment and whatnot. So it's a spectrum, but like far cry from what Curtis does out in the bush. Like during this entire pandemic, it's barely even changed my work life because I just still work like at a computer all day. So
I have to wear a mask when I'm in the truck with my field partner, but otherwise I'm kind of out of the loop. I don't really know. I didn't realize there's a shutdown going on in Eastern Canada here right now.
Yeah.
Or lockdown is whatever you call it.
Yeah, well, we're in red zone, so we're semi lockdown right now.
Yeah, like
can't do much. All restaurants are closed, bars are closed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you can eat. All restaurants are open for takeout only.
Takeout only. Yep.
Yeah, takeout only, and all the bars are closed, and stores are still open though.
Yeah.
So that's not. So it's like a half lockdown, put it this way. But
it's good to see you can get liquor though. That's the base thing. As long as you get your booze, that's essential.
That is the last
essential
thing
services.
Yeah. Even when we closed down for first wave, it was harsher than this, but liquor was still available.
That's the important part.
Yeah.
And
people need it, man. Trust me.
We can also
Especially
buy
when
them
you're
at
locked
the-
down. If you shut down liquor, that's riots. on your
Anarchy.
hands.
Anarchy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and
Best
the,
way to do is just make the liquor available. Then everybody's just drunk in their house. It's fine.
It's fine.
the marijuana store was still open too,
Yep.
Yeah.
obviously.
So we're going to finish on that note, guys. We're going to thank you very much for being a part of our podcast. By the way, Felix mentioned thank you, Metal Minded, for having these guys. They look fucking awesome. I'm going to buy their album.
Awesome. Thanks for the support.
So before I say goodbye, I'm just going to mention who I'm going to have for the review next week and the podcast, and I'm going to do it in French. Donc, mercredi prochain, nos reviews, on review Static X, Split Mouth et Morse Cordis. Ça va être une semaine vraiment le fun. J'ai enjoyé pouvoir revisiter des vieux amours de Static X. D'ailleurs, c'est vraiment très plaisant. Dimanche prochain, notre épisode d'Halloween, ça va être vraiment le fun. On le fait avec Horreur FM et plusieurs invités. On va essayer d'être déguisés, d'avoir du plaisir, de se laisser le fou aller. C'est l'Halloween dans le tapis. On va enjoyer notre temps. Sinon, restez avec nous. Venez nous joindre sur le Zoom, demandez des liens. On va rester avec Sadistic Embodiment un petit peu plus longtemps, boire une bière ou deux. So, guys, thank you very much for being part of this podcast. Obviously, I just mentioned we're going to do a little after party. Just stay on the Zoom. Don't leave. If some of the guys from YouTube want to join us, they come have a beer. They ask you questions. We spend time together and just shoot shit, or sometimes we listen to music, whatever. So don't leave. Cheers, guys. Thank you very much for coming on, and hope to fucking see you soon at a show or a tour or whatever.
Something,
We
please.
still got to do that tour together, boys.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Cheers, guys.